All right. All right. I'm live. Good evening. Good evening. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everybody's staying safe. I know it's been a couple weeks that y'all last seen me. I do apologize. I have some things going on outside of YouTube that require that's been my had my attention needed elsewhere. Oh man, I can't begin to tell y'all what I've missed. But first, like the stream people, let's like it up. Also, consider hitting that subscribe button along with the notification bell on. Oh man, I missed a lot. I missed a lot of things, a lot of good, juicy topics to talk about. Uh, oh man, so many different topics I could have talked about, but let's get into it. You know, as you see the title of this live stream, I was really going to do it, just record a video, but a couple people said, "Well, why don't you just do a live stream?" So why not? I think I've been on the record, and I've said this I don't know how many times. Today's athletes, let's just agree, they're sensitive. It's funny. These athletes today, it seems like once they get paid, once they get that big contract, I'm not saying it's all, but it's some. Some of them kind of take a step back. Some of them, once they get paid, they take the game to a higher standard. What I mean by that is that we have guys, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, does not matter in sports, that no matter if they play like crap. For example, and I said this I think I said in that Kyrie James Irving video, I'm gonna reference that. If you have a guy like Ben Simmons, right? This is his third, I believe this is his fourth year. The man has not developed a jump shot. You are who you are. Joel Embiid last year was out of shape. We're going to call that stuff out. But see, what gets me is that particularly when it comes to sports, these guys they for example, Charles Barkley and LeBron James. Charles Barkley had said something along the lines of, does he not want to compete? And of course, LeBron took that personal and got really personal by bringing up stuff that happened with Charles Barkley that really was off the field, off the court, had nothing to do with basketball. Who made as humans, we react in that kind of way, and we don't really think, well, what does he mean by not wanting to compete? Because at the time, they just won they just won the NBA Finals. He had Kyrie, Kevin Love. They gave Tristan Thompson a fat contract. They gave Shumpert, J.R. Smith, Kevin Love. Those guys got paid. The Cleveland Cavaliers didn't have room to really make moves for LeBron like that. When you look at these guys now, we can say we can all agree the current state of the NBA is shitty. There's no competitiveness. Look at the Brooklyn Nets. Look at the fact that LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin are going to Brooklyn just to get a ring. Look at the fact that you have guys who we thought, at one point we were saying, oh, wow, look at our Blake Griffin when he was in Los Angeles. Look at our Chris Paul when he was in Los Angeles with Blake Griffin. That was a championship caliber team. LaMarcus Aldridge, we thought when he left Portland to go to San Antonio, we thought they would be an instant contender for the championship. They'll play alongside Kawhi Leonard because Tim Duncan was in his twilight years. But I say all that to say this. When we look at these guys at the end of their career, what's more important? Stats, championships. I get what I'm saying? Russell Westbrook obviously made history. Recorded a triple-double in just in 38 games. He's made history as a Washington Wizard. He played, well, we lost to the Hornets, but Monday night recorded a triple-double. I believe it was 35 and 20, if I remember correctly. It's talked about on First Take, and essentially, and it was brought up, and essentially, I'm paraphrasing. I'll leave this in the description for y'all to see. But essentially, Stephen A was like, okay, that's great. I don't care. You know, we're celebrating Russell Westbrook getting another triple-double. What about when's he going? What about a ring? When are you going to hold him accountable for that? So after the loss, and I'll leave this in the description for y'all to see, Westbrook came back at Stephen A. I have the quote here. Quote, "A championship don't change my life. I'm happy. I was a champion once I made it to the NBA. I grew up in the streets. I'm a champion. I don't have to be an NBA champion. I know many people that got NBA championships are miserable and have done nothing for their community, haven't done nothing for the people in our world. And for me, my man, my legacy, I mentioned before, is not based on what I do on this court. I'm going to play basketball my whole life. My legacy is what I do off the floor. How many people I'm able to impact and inspire along my journey, man. That's how I keep my head down and keep pushing, because it's very important that you don't let the negativity seep in, because it's been like that my whole career. Honestly, there's no other player that takes that kind of heat that I take consistently." Then his wife responded. I'll get into those comments in a bit, but first let me respond to these comments. First and foremost, can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure. Can y'all guys hear me? Y'all let me know in the chat. I appreciate that. Like the stream, everybody. First and foremost, I don't think what Stephen A said was wrong. It was not. Stephen A. Smith made a basketball point. You see, this is what I mean. Appreciate you. Thank you, Marcus. This is what I mean when I'm talking about the criticism. Why are we celebrating triple doubles? I mean, that's great. But look at the Washington Wizards, y'all. The Wizards, correct me if I'm wrong, they are what, 13th place in the Eastern Conference? And I'm going to hear it. Well, look what they have. Well, we know Mark. We know Westbrook's not really the same guy. We know that. We know he's going to go out there and play his ass off. He's going to leave it all on the court. We know that. We have a guy, Bradley Beal, who's too loyal. You have an owner that does not care about the Wizards. He loves him, Alex Ovechkin, and the Washington Capitals. That's it. You have a coach and Scott Brooks, who's supposed to be defensive minded, but their defense is terrible. I believe they're last in the league. You have a GM who does have a basketball mind, but what's his plan? When you look at the Wizards, was I expecting Russell Westbrook to be on this team? Absolutely not. I didn't think the relationship between John Wall and the Wizards would come to an end that fast. When Russell Westbrook came here, I said, okay, Russell Westbrook's going to do his thing, but he's not going to lead us in the NBA Finals. I mean, for the most part, he's been playing well. But when do we start, as basketball fans, start holding guys a little bit more accountable. It's like, for example, right? When I went to a community college, and in the semester before I had graduated, I had made the dean's list, and I told everybody I made it. And one friend in particular was like, "Okay, that's great, but your job's not done. You still got a semester to grow before you graduate from the community college to go to university." He was right. Why am I celebrating dean list? It's great in the moment. What am I saying? When do we stop celebrating the stats and look more about what have you done for me lately? Am I saying I'm not? Please understand, I'm not trying to bash Westbrook, but Russell Westbrook holds Russell Westbrook from being great even more. The lack of a three-point shot. Russell Westbrook has weaknesses in his game. There's flaws. And the triple-double does not make it better. I have my notes. I wanted to particularly point out fact. Since Kevin Durant left to go to Golden State, without KD, Russell Westbrook is 7-17 in the playoffs. Cameron, what's good? I appreciate you. I want you to understand. I want you to look at this. I want you to listen to these records. His first year without KD, 47-35. Lost in the first round of the Houston Rockets. That was the year he averaged a triple-double without KD. The second year, this is when he had Paul George and Carmelo Anthony. Lost 48 wins and 43. Lost in the first round to Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz. The next year, 43-33. Getting waved off the court by Damian Lillard and the Portland Trailblazers. Chat, help me out. I have a question. Did Russell Westbrook in his time, since Kevin Durant's left, did he make Victor Oladipo, Steven Adams, Enes Kanter, Serge Ibaka, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony and others, did he make any of those guys better? Yes or no? Thank you. It's not just about the stats. That's what Russell Westbrook's missing. We know you're a great player. We know you're great. You're going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. We know you're great. You have the stats. You have the accolades. But when it counts at the end of the day, did you make the sacrifice for others to be better? No, you didn't. And you still don't get it. It does not matter. Listen, what you do off the court, that's great. I appreciate what you do for our community and the NBA community. I appreciate that. But we're talking strictly basketball. See, this is my problem with these athletes today. They wanted, again, his response was typically as humans what we do. We would respond off emotion. Or he said something about me, or she said something about me, I got to clap back. But what Stephen A. said was strictly basketball. So I have a question. So because you guys don't like criticism, what are these sports columnists, journalists, what are they supposed to say? They're supposed to say nice things. Oh, I love that outfit Westbrook had on the day. So if you're playing like crap, what am I supposed to report on? If, for example, Barry Tramble asked a basketball question, was not personal. You ain't got to take my word for it. He asked Steven Adams, Steven, can you explain to us why when Russ goes off the floor, y'all don't play the same level as opposed to when he's on the floor? Because if you look at a lot of those games, he'd go off the court and they're down like 10. He comes back on the floor, they're up like 3 or 4 or 5. Now, personally, Barry Trammell should have rephrased that question better, but I understood what he was saying. Westbrook took that personal. You know what's funny? When we have these barbershop conversations, and this cannot be denied, we talk about it all the time, particularly when it comes to basketball. We have this debate, well, who's the GOAT, LeBron or Jordan? First and foremost, I've said this for the millionth time on the record. There's no such thing as the greatest of all time. There's not. Greatest player of each generation, generational talent, not greatest of all time. See, this is what separates LeBron, Michael, Kobe from the others, because they have that championship mentality. Not saying Russell Westbrook doesn't have that. Not saying that. But Russell Westbrook fails to understand if he holds him back. Okay, he's the GOAT in your opinion, Cameron. Listen, that's a whole other conversation for another day, Cameron. But the point that I'm trying to make, these guys, look at how they separate themselves from the other. Magic, Bird, all of them. Now I understand. You look at a guy like John Stockton with the assists, Karl Malone, AI, great ball players. We know their legacy. John Stockton and Karl Malone. Who are they facing in the NBA Finals? Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. Great ball players. They're Hall of Famers. I wish they'd have a ring. Charles Barkley, arguably probably one of the best power forwards alongside Karl Malone, should have a ring. But the point I'm trying to make is, again, it's all about sacrificing. Look at Kevin Durant. Well, Kevin Durant, I understood his reasons for leaving Oklahoma City. Do I like that he went to Golden State? No. But looking at the record, when you're in Oklahoma City, we can honestly say as a leader, you failed. Because at the end of the day, we look at that kind of stuff. Basketball acumen matters. Yes, I understand that. He did. Allen Iverson took on Shaq and Kobe in the finals. That's a fair point. Because Allen Iverson's team, correct me if I'm wrong, he had Eric Snow, Aaron McKee, Dikembe Mutombo, and I want to say it was I can't remember the other guy, the center, the power forward. I can't think of his name. His name escapes me. But okay, compared versus Kobe and Shaq, unfair advantage. I get that. But unfortunately, in today's modern world, modern society, your success is based on what? A ring, championship. In the same breath, I'll use football for an example. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco doesn't have an MVP, has a Super Bowl MVP. He has a ring. People will say Joe Flacco is not an elite quarterback, but if you look at that playoff run, the year they won the Super Bowl, you're saying that's an elite quarterback. That's what a quarterback should be doing. Is he on the same level as Peyton Manning? Hell no. Brett Favre? No. Tom Brady? No. Joe Flacco is a good quarterback. Russell Westbrook is a talented point guard. If I need a point guard, he's one of 5 that I would pick to have on my team. Is Eli Manning elite? Yes, I will say that because he beat Tom Brady twice. The first time he beat him, he beat the New England Patriots that went 17-1. So I'll say Eli Manning's elite. I can give you that. But Eli Manning in the same. We know when we saw his decline. He knew he wasn't the same quarterback. What I would say, 3-4 years ago. Eli Manning had a decent team around him that first Super Bowl. I'm not going to deny that. But getting back into Westbrook, I just think the point is being missed. We're not talking about you're not being a great player anymore. I mean, hell, first and foremost, he makes the comment, there's no other player that kind of takes the heat that I take constantly. First and foremost, when you say, he has had an ugly ending, exactly. When you say that, understand it's not heat, it's critiquing. First and foremost, how do you explain as a leader 3 first-round exits? Now we can all now again fair. Now let me be fair and balanced. Sam Presti should have done more, but he did have Paul George, and we can say Paul George was nowhere to be found, especially against Portland. Carmelo Anthony. This part of the quote is what bothers me. Not bothers me, but again, I just don't. What does this point of what does this have to do with basketball? I want you to hear this. A championship does not change my life. I'm happy. I was a champion once I made it to the NBA. I grew up in the streets. I'm a champion. Again, what does I grew up in the streets have to do with the fact, well, what is Russ is held to a different ranking than others. We don't judge him based on triple doubles, rank him on deep playoff runs. Exactly. That's how we should be judging a lot of these guys. Stats do matter, but also, too, it's what you do. If all you care about is stats, that's you. But at the end of the day, can we say he was the guy that got my team to the promised land? That's what you should be asking yourself. Is Russell Westbrook that guy? We don't know. And we probably won't know. Because, again, Russell Westbrook holds Russell Westbrook from being great. He holds his own potential back. When I mean potential, he holds the full potential of what he can be to make the others around him better. Now, case in point, he didn't have Bradley Beal the other night against the Hornets, and they lost. He didn't but again, I'm just saying, it's not about the stats. It's about making a Garrison Matthews better. A Rui, I can't pronounce his name. The guy we drafted, Rui, that's what I call him. Making him better. Neto better. Guys like that. Can Russell Westbrook make them better? If he did less, Charles Barkley tried to say that when on an episode Inside the NBA, and he got flack for that. What would you want him to do? Average 15 assists, average 20? It's not about that. Again, Victor Oladipo, Paul George, Enes Kanter, Steven Adams. You can make those guys better. You could have. You can make Bradley Beal better, in a sense. But, and I know what's going to come. I know what's going to happen. When we have these barbershop talks, we're going to sit back and we're going to go, the one thing that Russell Westbrook has missing off his resume is a championship. Now people are going to make the argument, well, if KD doesn't leave, who knows what could have happened? Mind you, they got to the NBA Finals, but unfortunately had to face LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh. Lost to Golden State in the Western Conference Finals the year KD left. I understand it. I get it. But at the end of the day, Stephen A. Smith made a basketball point. All this right here, listen, Isaiah Thomas, I'll leave this link in the description too. Championship matters on the court too. Russ don't really need a chip to validate him to make deep playoff runs. He good, but he didn't do that. That's a fair point. That's fair. I'm not saying he needs a chip to validate him. Don't understand. I'm not saying he needs a championship to validate himself. But unfortunately, that's the kind of sports where we live in today. It's all about, at the end of the day, do you have a championship? And unfortunately, I don't like that. I'll give you another example. Baseball. Todd Helton, one of my favorite first basemen of all time. I think, in my personal opinion, I think he's a Hall of Famer. But you know what holds him back? He doesn't have a ring. And the stats, too. Why? Because he played at Coors Field. He doesn't have 500 home runs, but he was arguably one of the best hitting first basemen. Did he need a World Series to validate himself? No. Does his numbers speak for himself? Russell Westbrook, when you see the numbers, they speak for himself. They speak. Russ is an elite guard. But at the end of the day, it's about sacrificing for the others. Damian Lillard is better than Russ just because he had deep playoff runs. Yeah, I agree with that, Cameron. But again, if we're talking just about matchups, we can say Portland's had better teams than Oklahoma City. And Houston also too, when he left to play with James Harden. Same thing. I didn't even mention Houston. We're not going to get into James Harden. But the same thing. Did Russell Westbrook sacrifice? Did James Harden make the sacrifice? James Harden, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to have to eat my words on that one, but he's sacrificing and making the others a little bit better. Westbrook. Now, I'm going to get into his wife's response to Stephen A. And I'll leave this in the description. Now, before I get into that, I want you guys to understand that we understand that the media moves the goalposts. It's always moving it. Okay? And we have to be careful of narratives being changed. And we have to ensure that the narrative stays the same. Now, Stephen A. Smith, I understood what he was saying. It's not about the rings, the triple doubles. It's not about that. It's more about, what have you done for me lately? When are you going to understand that you have all the talent in the world, but when are you going to understand that, dude, where's the three-point shot? Where are you going? The flaws in your game, you haven't really made yourself really to show that I can get a team to the finals. Because I hate to say this, whether we like it or not, we all want him to win a championship. Nobody really wants to admit that, but it's the truth. So understand, when we're watching these games, understand that it's not just about, like, again, I said it previously, it's not just about the stats. It's about making the others better. And it's also about you addressing your flaws. Again, Ben Simmons, Giannis, Joel Embiid, Jokic. Those guys understand the flaws in their game, but they have to make the necessary sacrifice to make the others better. Joel Embiid, before he got hurt, was a top 5 MVP. Still can be. Damian Lillard, LeBron, Russell Westbrook. let me get into these. Let me get into these comments. I'll leave this in the description. Now, I'm reading this. Now, she was on Instagram. She made an Instagram story. My husband and I were recently watching a UCLA game, and he recognized an announcer who has covered the team he was playing all those years ago. Russell goes, it's unfortunate, quote, it's unfortunate that these people have the ability to use their platforms to change the way these young players' talents are perceived. Imagine being a college player trying to make it to the next level, and these people on TV have the ability to influence the public perception of you. If they say that you're bad, teams won't pick you. This guy right here used to say I wouldn't be good in the NBA. Imagine if I had listened to him. Okay, that part. Imagine if I had listened to him. This still rings true today. Imagine if Russell let the words of a Stephen A. Smith deter him from being an amazing human that he is. Imagine if Russell actually cared that Stephen A. Smith said that he did not care about his accomplishments. He'd be crushed. He wouldn't be the talent that he is today. And he had listened to people like Stephen A. Smith telling that he was not good enough or that he could only celebrate his accomplishments if he lived up to who they thought he should be. First and foremost, again, this is what I'm talking about. That's moving the goalposts. Okay, we understand that we have guys that are journalists. Thank you. People that are going to say stuff about you. It does not matter if you're an athlete, 9 to 5. It does not matter. People are going to talk about you. They're going to find ways to say, he's not good. She doesn't have what it takes. They don't have what it takes. People are going to do that. That's being sensitive. It's called having thick skin. Let me tell y'all something. I had people, particularly in elementary school, telling me I was going to be a statistic of, well, he can't make it to college, or he's going to struggle in middle school. He's going to do this. He can't do that. Look where I'm at today. I went to a community college, got an associate's degree. Currently at a university right now, working towards my bachelor's degree. Made the dean's list. Did all this. Made multiple awards. Doing quite well for myself. But I tuned those people out and proved them wrong. At the end of the day, I ain't gonna lie. We do have some ball players in college that do need to consider just staying a year or two. Because I'm not gonna lie. Some of these guys make the NBA look bad. And that can't be denied. It just can't. How are you okay with, for example, Anthony Bennett, former number 1 overall pick, UNLV? Where's he at now? Look at a lot of their skills. Listen, the NBA and college, 2 totally different systems. Thank you. Some can say that college is a coaches league. College is a coaches league, and the NBA is a players league. Listen, I've been watching the NBA. I've been watching the NCAA March Madness. I watched a few of these games, and the one thing that I've noticed, a lot of guys lack certain skills. How to post up, pick and roll, switching on picks, getting back on defense. I noticed a lot of lack. But the one thing they like to do is stand behind the top of the key and dribble. Shoot that 3. Live by the 3, die by the 3. Not saying these guys can't play, but what about adding more into your game? No disrespect, but I shouldn't see a 7'1" guy on the top of the key dribbling the ball. I shouldn't be seeing that. I should be seeing his big ass posting somebody up down low. That part, that's addressed. Ironically, Russ makes history, and Stephen A. Smith comes out of nowhere to share his non-congratulations. When he does bad, we hear about it. When he does well, we don't hear about it. Or when Stephen A. Smith has to make sure his accomplishments are diminished. Respectfully, I am not a fan of yours. All of this to say, if you're a college athlete aspiring to play at the next level, please, please, please never let anyone else place value on your talent. Work hard, be humble. My husband is the prime example of how you can defy the odds in every way. This brings to me Russ is the happiest he's ever been. Not having a championship does not hurt him a lot. You know nothing about him. If you did, you know that the way he's way, way, way more than a championship. He's a champion of life, a champion of people. He does not care about your championship. And certainly not your opinion. He cares about his people, his community, and is trying to make the world a better place. I don't know how many times I have been minding my own business and randomly subjected to you slandering my husband, who happens to be minding his own business, being happy and living his best life. Leave us alone already. We don't want to play anymore, although we never asked to play. Exit ride, hard pass, however you want to receive it. There you go. Turns on Wizards pregame. See, thank you. Once again, see, this is what I'm talking about. The goalpost was moved. She's moved the goalpost. What does Thank you. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you. That is my point. Stephen A. Smith was bringing up a basketball point. It's basketball. What does him being a champion off the field, off the court, have to do with we're celebrating he had a triple-double? We're not, I mean, chat, let me ask you guys a question. Are you okay? Are we celebrating triple doubles for Russell Westbrook? Yes or no? Are we going to really celebrate the fact he had another triple double at this point? It was a Nah, thank you, Marcus. It was a compliment, to be honest, saying he's so great. Triple doubles are the norm. What did Stephen A. Smith say he didn't care? He said that's great, but that's not where his focus is. He wants to see Russ get a championship. This is an offensive error. Marcus, what do you mean by that? Again, he does not care about your championship. Your championship, excuse me, the basketball world cares about that. At the end of the day, when we evaluate these guys when they're done, what's the first thing we're going to say? Did they have a chance? Did they win a championship? Am I wrong for saying that? Absolutely not. Nobody plays defense for real. Facts. I agree with that. No one plays defense. That is true. When you look at these comments, I'm pretty sure. No, Marcus, that's fair. That's a fair point. Nobody plays defense. No, this is a league that one is not competitive. There is, again, there's a lot of lack in certain skills. There's no accountability. A lot of egos. I think this is the NBA of today. Do you guys think Stephen A. Smith diminished his accomplishments? No. He shrugged it off like, okay, that's great. You got another triple double. Hooray. For example, when it was little AAU sports or little league sports, if a team comes in second place, correct me if I'm wrong, don't they get like achievement trophies or something like that? Is that correct? Chad, is that correct? I believe they do get some type of an achievement award. But my thing is, if I came in second place, I ain't celebrating that. I believe James Harrison has 2 sons. And he didn't say, no, y'all not bringing them trophies home. You're not, because we're not celebrating that. We don't celebrate achievements. I mean, we do, but not in that form. We expect Westbrook to average triple doubles. Yes, we do. But at the same time, we also expect Russell Westbrook to sacrifice for the others to be better. And at the end of the day, has Westbrook done that? No. When we evaluate his career, that's the biggest question we're going to be asking. Did he sacrifice to make the others better? And did he sacrifice to hold him to say, this is what I need to do to help the team get a ring? Did he do that? No. Me, with all due respect, I don't even know why his wife had to come in this. Because Stephen A. Smith said nothing personal. But again, like I said, we live in a society that's sensitive and always wants to, what is this cancel culture thing? Where if it's something we don't like, or someone says something or does something, we want to always, well, you need to be canceled, or, I disagree with this, or run the social media when there's a problem. We know what Russell Westbrook does off the field. I appreciate what he does. But we're just talking strictly basketball. Look, the Washington Wizards, I'm telling you right now, they're not going to make the playoffs. They stink. Bradley Beal's out with a hip contusion. I mean, at this point, they're playing for a lottery pick. Russell Westbrook, I believe, is supposed to make $41 million this year. And again, we look back on Russell Westbrook, what are we looking at? His stats. I mean, it's great, but it's overrated now. But let me say this about, again, I understand that we have journalists. And understand a guy like Stephen A., who's covered basketball for almost 30 years now. He has, I hate to say, but he has as Shaquille O'Neal said, that G14 classification to give his basketball opinion. But again, apparently in today's world, we have to say nice things to each other about these guys. We can't say negative things. We can't say, well, if they do something bad, like for example, Kevin Durant and Michael Rappaport, which I'm not going to do a video on because Cameron and Elliott, shout out to them, reminded me, hey, that's a violation of street code, Michael Rappaport. Why would you leak that conversation out? A little sensitive. But again, I just wanted to make this video. I didn't expect it to be this long, but it's the truth. I think Russell Westbrook's a great player. I'm a fan. But at the end of the day, it's not just about the stats. When we look back at his career, we're going to say, what did you do to make, what steps did you take to get to that next level? Russell Westbrook did not do that. I hate to say it. He did not. Russell Westbrook is Russell Westbrook. He is what he is. He's not going to change. At the end of the day, Stephen A. Smith was not wrong. Do I think his wife should have gotten involved in this? Absolutely not. Because listen, we can criticize guys. We can let them know, hey, you playing like crap, or hey, you need to be doing better at that. We can do that. Because today on First Take, I'll leave the link in the description. I don't even know why that was even a topic. But I want to say this one final point to what she was saying about college athletes don't listen to people like that. Understand this. She has a point, but she's moving the goalpost. Listen, you're going to have people, and it's not just sports columnists or journalists. It's people, whether it's your next door neighbor or those you go to school with. They don't want to. There are people who don't want to see you succeed in life. Plain and simple. We know that. But at the end of the day, it's what you have to do. You have to make yourself better, your game better. If you're okay with averaging triple doubles, that's you. But again, look at Kobe. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at LeBron. Look at Tim Duncan. There are guys I wish would have a champion. I wish would have a ring. Barkley, Malone, Stockton, AI, Melo, Russell Westbrook. Great ball players. But unfortunately, when we evaluate these guys, the biggest question we always ask is, did they get a championship? Do they have a ring on their resume? And that's what Russell Westbrook has to understand. You're going to get that kind of criticism. You can't take the heat. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. But I'm not going to, I'm going to end the stream. I appreciate those that tuned in. Again, if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe. Again, I'll leave these links in the description for y'all to see. I'm going to leave the Isaiah Thomas video. I'll leave the video where Stephen A. Smith was talking about the triple-double also. And I'm going to leave Russell Westbrook's response and his wife's response in the description below. But with that being said, I'm out. Peace. Thanks for tuning in with me.